going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. The Champions League is here, and I don't know about you, but I'm super excited for this new format. 8 group stage match days instead of 6, and every single fixture, every single point, every single goal counts. Thank you so much for 28,000 subscribers. That is absolutely insane. If you want to see the football videos every single week, then subscribe down below. And also there should be an update on YouTube that when I say subscribe, the subscribe button actually has a little flash around it. Let me know if it worked for you. It did for me. Here are the winning accumulators we had over on the Patreon and the YouTube Members Club. And remember, the Patreon is 10% off if you use code 8E58C when you join up. There have been some people that have joined in the last few days since this promotion has been running that forgot to use the discount code. Save yourself some money. Use the discount code. Before I show you all the winners, I want to show you the crazy correct scores of the weekend. Friday night correct score double. We were 1 goal away. We had this one right here. Sheffield United won 2-0. We did get Betis to win 2-0. Here for the Premier League, I mean, you would have seen these scores in my Premier League video anyway, but Palace and Leicester drew 2-2 instead of 2-1, and Fulham West Ham drew 1-1, and then we had the correct score double here. Real Madrid did win 2-0, and Empoli managed to draw 0-0 with Juventus. I mean, what is going on with the Italian teams? But this is something I've been working on over on Patreon. It's my banker and upset predictor system that gets more and more accurate as the season goes on and calibrates with the scores, predictions, and tips that I give. So with every single Premier League game week, I essentially get a score for how well I predicted each team, whether that's the result, the tip I give, or the exact score. And the teams at the top of the league therefore have a higher chance of my tips and results coming in, and the teams at the bottom of the league have less chance coming in. And the first week we had a bottom 3 reverse upset ACCA come in. Now, full transparency, I didn't post these 2 ACCAs to the Patreon or the YouTube memberships because I'm still calibrating it and working on it, but we did have a 22-1 ACCA come in secret, and we would have had the favourites come in had Liverpool 1-0, because these 3 picks came from backing my research, and these 3 actually came from going against what I originally predicted based on the fact that in the first few weeks, these were the teams I found it more difficult to get correct. Essentially a way of finding value where something might be a little more likely than the odds suggest. So it turns out Ipswich double chance at 3 was very good value, given that it was clearly quite likely. The same with Bournemouth and Chelsea not to have both teams scoring, and Arsenal to win, albeit that's the result I picked in the video. That would only get 1 point for Arsenal and Tottenham in my league table because my tip was both teams to score. So that was a low point result that completed the upset accumulator. But yeah, here were the winners over on Patreon. You can go and join. But now let's get into the Champions League. Flashing up on the screen are all of the patrons that have joined. Again, I know it's a long intro, but I've got new things in the works. The banker and upset system, which a lot of you are excited about, and of course the final few days of the discount, because in 3 days time you won't be able to get the discount anymore. We have 18 games to go through, but also in this video, completely free of charge, if you've got a small stake that you want to use on the first game week of the Champions League, I have a 10-fold winners accumulator, some fairly likely ones and then some less likely ones that really spruce up the value at odds of over 80-1. So stay tuned to the end, or skip through if you want to see that. But kicking it off, we have Juventus up against PSV. Now, as I just mentioned, Juventus, they came off of a 0-0 draw with Empoli. PSV beat NEC at the weekend soundly, 2-0. I think this is actually going to be a tough game for Juve. On paper, they're going to be the favourites. They're at home, but I just see PSV getting something. I think PSV, they probably should lose this game, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say 1-1 between the 2 teams. And because I like the odds, I'm going to go for both teams to score at 1.7. Juventus could win. It might be Juve and both teams to score, but I'm going to go for Juve 1, PSV 1. After this, it's Young Boys up against Aston Villa. This does have Europa League sort of written all over it this kind of tie. I know Young Boys have featured in a few Champions Leagues in recent seasons, but they're not quite to the level. It's just on the basis that they're, one of the best teams in Switzerland. So I'm going to go for Aston Villa to win 2-1. And the tip is going to be Aston Villa to win at 1.66. They came from behind, 2 goals behind against Everton, and got the win. Aston Villa to win there at 1.66. After this, AC Milan up against Liverpool. Milan absolutely destroyed Venezia, I believe it was, at the weekend, 2-0. It was like 4 or 5-0, and Liverpool lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. Forest continue their unbeaten start to the season, and if you do subscribe to me or follow me on Patreon, you will know that in my crazy predictions, I put Nottingham Forest way up there in the Premier League because they have the team to do it, but this is about Liverpool. Can they do it? It's a Champions League final repeat, and obviously from nearly 20 years ago. I do think Liverpool are going to get the job done. I'm going to go for Liverpool to win 2-1. But my tip is both teams to score at 1.57. However, I do like Liverpool to win at, I think, about 1.9. So whichever takes your fancy, go for it. After this, Bayern Munich up against Dinamo Zagreb. I've got a banker for you here. I'm going to go for Bayern to win this one 4-0. No disrespect to Zagreb, but Bayern Munich are unbelievable. They beat Hostin Kiel 6-1 at the weekend. We actually, if you were eagle-eyed viewers, would have seen that we had them in the result on both teams to score double with Leverkusen at the weekend. So that goal from Kiel was much appreciated. But Bayern Munich to win 4-0. Bayern Munich -1 handicap at 1.44. Chuck it in an acca. That is, in my opinion, going to happen, even if it's just a little 2-0. Speaking of, we have Real Madrid up against Stuttgart. Real Madrid beating Real Sociedad 2-0, as we correctly predicted at the weekend. And I think it's going to happen once again. Nothing too crazy. Real Madrid 2, Stuttgart 0. I think Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. will be the goal scorers. But my tip is going to be Real Madrid and under 3.5 goals at 2.6. That allows for the 3-0 and the 2-1. Honestly, it could be 3-1 to Real Madrid. I'm just trying to find some value on a very likely outcome. Real Madrid -1 handicap you could go for, but I think Real Madrid just going to get the job done. All it is really is just making sure you get those 3 points, especially for the easier fixtures like this one. After this, Sporting up against Lille. Now, Lille, unbelievable. They dropped points. They lost 1-0 to Saint Etienne in Ligue 1. Saint Etienne pointless. No points at all in Ligue 1 before facing Lille, who have a great start to the season. And they come up against Sporting. And I think one place that Portuguese teams in particular gain a sort of an edge that most other teams don't is home advantage. You know, obviously every team has a slight home advantage, but the disparity between Portuguese teams playing away in Europe and playing at home, it just seems like they're a bit of a unit at home. So I'm going to give Sporting the win. Sporting 2, Lille 1. The tip is Sporting to win at 1.7. We move on to Champions League Wednesday with Bologna up against Shakhtar Donetsk. I'm going to go for another opening 1-1 draw, and the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.8. After this promises to be a very exciting game, in my opinion. It's Sparta Prague up against FC Salzburg, and I'm going to be quick because there's loads to go through. High scoring, 2-2 draw, and the tip is both teams to score at 1.53. Up next, it is Celtic up against Slovan Bratislava, and I'm going to let you in a little secret. I've got Bratislava to finish rock bottom of the league, and you can bet on that. Odds of 4.33 as a single if you want to go with that. So I think Celtic, this is obviously their easiest game that they will get. It's the easiest game anyone will get if they can play at home against Bratislava. So I'm going to go for Celtic to win 2-0, and the tip is Celtic to win at 1.38. Nothing crazy, but it is what it is. After this, Club Brugge up against Borussia Dortmund, and we did actually tip Club Brugge to win at the weekend, and they did. Borussia Dortmund, I think they're going to get a win. I think they are. I think they are, because we did also tip over on the Patreon Borussia Dortmund and both teams to score against Heidenheim. It ended 4-2, so we actually correctly predicted both of these teams' games at the weekend. I'm going to go for it again here. Borussia Dortmund to win 2-1. But the tip is both teams to score at 1.61, because Bruges are good. They are decent, and I could see them getting a point from Borussia Dortmund or even a win here, but I don't see a game where Dortmund don't score at least once. I know they've been, up until the game against Heidenheim, haven't been super prolific in front of goal, but I think this changes here. So I'm going to go Dortmund to win 2-1. After this, it's Manchester City up against Inter Milan. Now, I do think Inter Milan are a decent team. They've just come off of a 1-1 draw against Monza, and that's only because they scored a late equaliser. Poor from Inter Milan there, honestly. And City beating Brentford, which they have struggled to do in the past. Haaland has broken the record for most goals scored in the opening 4 games, which Rooney has held for the last 12-13 years. And he scored more goals than any other team in the Premier League. Man City are going to kick this off with a win. Man City 2, Inter Milan 1. I think they've got to watch out for Lautaro Martinez. I think he's going to have a very good game. But I think it's going to be close. Man City 2-1. Man City to win at 1.55. I could potentially see Man City and both teams to score, but I could also see Man City win 2-0, so I didn't pull the trigger. However, a team that I have pulled the trigger, PSG up against Girona. Now, I tipped PSG and both teams to score at the weekend. I also tipped Girona to lose and both teams to score against Barcelona. PSG won 3-1 and Girona lost 4-1. So again, 2 teams that we tipped correctly at the weekend. And I'm going to double up. We're going to go for PSG to win 3-1 at home against Girona. And the tip is going to be PSG and both teams to score at 2.87. Now we move on to Thursday. A little bit Unfortunate for the likes of Arsenal, who are playing on this Thursday and then playing Man City on the Sunday, who just played on the Wednesday, as we discussed, but it is what it is. First up, we have Red Star Belgrade up against Benfica. This one's difficult because you don't want to go to Belgrade, really. However, I just think Benfica, you can't sleep on them. They are a very good team and they're better than Belgrade. So I think it could definitely be a draw. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Benfica, but the tip is going to be Benfica double chance and under 3.5 goals at 1.8. I don't think there's going to be 4 goals, and I think Benfica are good enough to get at least a point from Red Star Belgrade. After this very exciting fixture, Feyenoord up against Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen smashing it at the weekend 4-1 against Hoffenheim. Phenomenal result. I'm going to go for a similar tale. Bayer Leverkusen to win 3-1. The tip is Bayer Leverkusen to win at 1.85, simply because the odds are good enough without adding in both teams to score. After this, Atalanta up against Arsenal. This is a tough game for Arsenal. Atalanta in a very high-scoring game at the weekend. We tipped both teams to score over 2.5 goals in that one against Fiorentina. They were 2-1 down going into stoppage time in the first half and made it 3-2 after the first half. So lots of goals. I think Arsenal can get the job done here, but I am saying they'll concede. I'm going to go 2-1 to Arsenal. And the tip, I'm actually going to press the button, Arsenal to win at 1.83. Following that, we have Atletico Madrid up against RB Leipzig. I'm actually going to change my prediction here. I originally had 1-1, but I'm going to go home form Atletico Madrid at the Wanda Metropolitano. I think they were very good at the weekend. I mean, albeit the opponent, nothing special, but still, they got the job done. Gallagher on the score sheet. Leipzig, on the other hand, drawing 0-0. Not great at all. I'm going to now go Atletico Madrid 2, Leipzig 1, but my tip doesn't change. Both teams to score at 1.66. After this, we have Brest up against Sturm Graz, and I'm going to go for it. High scoring, double donuts. That's 0-0. 2-2. 2-2. To no one, and the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.8. And the final one, Monaco up against Barcelona. 2 teams we got correct again at the weekend. Monaco to win I had, and Barcelona and both teams to score, as I previously mentioned. I'm going to do it again. Barcelona to win 2-1, and the tip is going to be Barcelona and both teams to score at 3.25. So if you want a result on both teams to score double, strictly from this video, you can put the tips together. You've got PSG and Barcelona probably making odds of about 9-1. But now, as I said, the 10 win is tenfold. We're going through, and basically any team that I've tipped to win, or tipped with a handicap, or tipped with both teams to score, I've combined it for 10 winners. So we have Aston Villa, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Sporting Lisbon, Celtic, Manchester City, PSG, and then on Thursday, the 3 higher odds games to really flesh this out: Bayer Leverkusen, Arsenal, and Barcelona for odds of 83.24. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoy the football every single day this week. It's super exciting. Leave a like, subscribe. We're now on the road to 29,000 subscribers, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.